Today, welcome to the Mindful Garden. Let's start out as we usually do with 3 centering deep breaths and get ourselves centered and ready for speaking about our topic today. With each breath, you just bring yourself down and imagine yourself in the center of your body. And from there, it's like you can feel kind of everything. It's kind of nice. So anyway, tonight's an interesting night. And I already have a visitor, which is awesome. Oh, shout out for Lee. Lee gave me a shout out in his video. I'd love to give him a shout out in his video. Check out the Angry Beekeeper on YouTube. He is definitely worth checking out. Very funny, very informative, very useful information if you're looking into bees and life stuff as much as I am. It's kind of nice to check out other people's stuff, and I passed along some walking sticks to him, and hopefully they find themselves useful in their new endeavors, which is going to be nice. But anyway, tonight, what are we talking about? Yes, it was windy last night. There's definitely a lot of energy out going on, that's for sure. Lots of wind, lots of destruction, but that's change and transformation, and that's kind of some of the stuff that's coming. We know it's coming. The computer modeling show it's coming. The storms have been building. It's just a matter of us bracing and changing and dealing with it, which is important. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. We're talking about the remote control today. Who has your remote control, and who is your remote control? Who controls you? Like, depending on your state of mind will depend on who actually has your control, and that is unfortunately a little disturbing for some people. You're welcome, Lee. I hope you really enjoy the walking sticks. Anyway, what's really important about the remote control that you have is you can unwillingly give it up by being programmed subliminally. That's hard to say sometimes. But anyway, you can actually be trained to kind of give up that remote control of yourself if you're not careful. And that is unfortunately what happens in society through advertising. Advertising is basically was given birth in the propaganda of the Second World War. And during that time, it was used as a way to manipulate the population of both sides. And now it's used to manipulate the population to make them excellent consumers, which is done excellently. And look at where we are. But anyway, let's talk about how do we wrestle that remote control back to ourselves. Well, one is not consuming as much media and being careful when you're consuming media and being mindful of the media you consume, which is very important. I think that's an important lesson that we do not teach our youth, is a significant media awareness that they should have in all, it should just be second nature. But of course that doesn't suit the system, and the system would prefer we just be good consumers. So I guess doing the right thing is going to be hard because we're going to have to do it on our own. And it takes us teaching our children and us teaching each other media awareness and being mindful of everything. Like, for instance, who is telling the truth? Well, everyone's telling the truth from their own perspective. And that is from their perspective, and that's important to understand. And that is part of how you can be manipulated, is by being subjected to and brought into someone's reality. Does this make sense? I'm hoping this is making sense. Like, what happens is you consume the media or consume the advertising or whatever, and it draws you into a reality that you have to partake in, and you buy into that reality and purchase the things or live the style of life that they expect, or see that style of life as what you expect. It's very hard for people to understand that, like, we have this remote control in our head that controls us, and we have to be selective who we give it to, including ourselves. Like, we have to run on autopilot sometimes, or else we'd go a little bit bonkers, I would think. But we have to be cultivating a proper autopilot within our system, and that means being selective who we allow to run us on autopilot, and that would what people would call goes into spirituality speaking, but like, would you turn yourself over to God or the devil, would you say? But of course you would never turn yourself over to devil, but of course some people would. But anyway, the principle is, like, sometimes you have to run on autopilot just because you do not know what to do, and you kind of just turn off and just go, just like, I just need to know what to do, and it will come. Sometimes it will come, or, well, you die, which kind of sucks. But anyway, let's get back onto the topic of wrestling this remote control a little bit. Being careful of your media, being mindful of yourself in your influence on others as well, because in a way, you manipulating people becomes a way that they end up controlling you. This is hard to understand, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, like, every person that you try to change in your life, that you try to, like, that you're taking active participation in their life, it's taking energy away from you. So that is partly you giving a bit of a connection to them, and that gives them a bit of a remote control of you at times. Does this make sense? And this is like, because we are a collective, and this collective is part of that whole remote control system, and it works in nature. We see it in nature, in ants and everything like that, and we behave like on a large scale, we behave like ants. People don't understand it, but if you look at human behavior, we behave very predictively in large scale and en masse. It's a matter of us being selective and learning to keep ourselves in a good place as well. That's a very important thing. Keeping it so that you are mindful of your, I don't know how to put this. It's like your state will dictate who controls you. Like, if you're in a negative state, it's easy to be manipulated by the societal control system that is easily by the consumer system that is built up. And it's definitely built on a negative reinforcement, and that's where everyone gets this whole dark energy thing going, I think, going a little bit. Because in a way it is a dark energy, which yes, that's Amy has said here, to mindfully choose and be independent minded, yes, and mindfully decide we share our remote energy with, yes. Like I said, like, every connection we make is a tie to this remote control that we have over ourselves. And like I say, like when we are present and when we are being present in ourselves, we're taking full control of ourselves. And in doing that, you program your body to follow that along as much as possible, which is what a lot of martial arts does, is where you're taking positive actions and training your body so that when you're in a situation, you don't even have to think. Your body just kind of does it. You're just like, oh, it goes. And that is just releasing your remote control to the energy of the moment. And it's very interesting how that works when you're well trained and chi energy kind of comes into it, which is kind of hard to explain because like I'm an atheist, which so I'm trying to understand how all these energies work in reality. So I don't want to be like I'm very careful of the dogmas that have been built up in religion and in even martial arts and stuff like that. I'm very careful to understand that maybe some things have been built up to be more than they are or less than they are, or who knows. And that's why personal experience is very important. And an interesting side note, by having personal experience with what people call negative entities, and now that they come and visit me regularly and come for my counsel and learn to become light energies eventually in their work, like every being that is out there is seeking the same thing, and that is further enlightenment or progress in their journey. Dead or alive or whatever, and trying to explain how it happens. It's now like my wife, she does things. She has created a very positive energy in this room here. There's a very positive energy space, which makes it so that they actually will ask permission to come in now. They will stand by the door. They won't even come in. They will actually ask permission and be like, okay, can I come in? I'm too scared to come in, because it's now such a positive space that they're afraid to come in on their own without protection from me. Does that make sense? That's strange to talk about. But anyway, and that comes to where I'm talking about my remote control a little bit on the spiritual side of things, is because every time I contact with one of these entities, I am giving a connection to them, which is part of a deeper purpose for myself, which I don't want to get into explain tonight. But to have that opportunity is to learn from them and from their experience. So I give them in return the enlightenment from my experience, and in their return they give me the information from their experience, and then we both grow from the experience together and we share information. And that's basically like what we're talking about, sharing energies and stuff. So like you get yourself programmed into the commercial system, you will give into the commercial system and independently buy into that system and get yourself locked into it. And because that system works the way it does, it's very hard to remove yourself completely from it, which is an interesting thing to try and do. But I haven't watched much TV in a very long time. I keep my reports to what's going on with coronavirus just through work, which is an interesting way to do it, because then I have to get what has to be done for work, for what's mandatory for health reasons, which is interesting. But anyway, that's long enough for tonight. I hope that was kind of interesting about the remote controls. I'm very glad to have had some visitors tonight. Shout out to everybody who came by. Like I said, like Lee Moore, he's the Angry Beekeeper on YouTube. Very cool, very chill guy. Um, Even though he's angry, which like he's kind of like me. I have a latent anger that I have to work on, and that's something I'm working on spiritually as well, which is probably why I'm supposed to deal with these greater dark entities that I'm dealing with. Anyway, there's an interesting topic for some time, is dealing with what people consider the dark, but not really. And there goes the cat, because now he's getting freaked out, because of course I'm inviting him by talking about him. Anyway, you guys have a good night. Let's close out for a prayer. As usual, I want to open up hearts and minds. Hearts and minds need to be opened up. We need to see the truth that is out there. Yes, there are things we need to be wary of. There is a reason why we have had the lockdown and stuff like that. It's important for us to be mindful of our actions and our energies. And right now, because of a lot of different things, our energies are in a awkward state, and it's very hard for people to deal with. And I think that's actually part of the isolation, if you want to get down to strange things. But anyway, you guys have a good night. Let's open up hearts and minds, especially of the people who could really make a significant difference in the world. That's who I really want to open up and get their hearts opened up, and get them thinking that maybe it's time to live a little differently and change this world for the better and live in a more sharing economy. Does that make sense? Because pooling money is kind of greedy and unneeded. Anyway, you guys have yourself a great night, and thank you for checking me out. Bye.